Donald Trump's victory in 2024, along with the now infamous Roman salute from Elon Musk at his inauguration, signaled a significant shift in American culture, and a lot of far-right wingers saw that as a repudiation of the so-called woke era. And now the era of fascism is here. And when I say the era of fascism is here, I mean that white supremacists and neo-Nazis, they feel emboldened, and they've really let their freak flags fly as of late because Trump has made it cool in some regards to just be a fascist, right? You have members of Congress and conservative influencers basically openly Klan posting on their main Twitter accounts with their names attached to it. You have conservatives celebrating ISIS' cruel treatment of immigrants and calling for the deaths of Muslims and trans people. And it's not like they didn't have these views before Trump was elected, because this isn't new for them. But the difference is these people no longer feel compelled to keep these odious beliefs to themselves. They've come out of the closet because Trump has made it socially acceptable to be an antisocial piece of shit. And he's using the power of the federal government to normalize and institutionalize racism and bigotry in the public and private sectors. And to say open bigotry is socially acceptable, it doesn't really adequately characterize the toxic climate that we're in, because in some ways that behavior is incentivized, seeing as how some people have been able to get handsomely rewarded for it. For example, a racist white Karen raised $800,000 after she went viral for calling a child a racial slur. After that, a neo-Nazi raised nearly $40,000 after coming out as a fascist on Jubilee. Not to mention, we're seeing company after company bow down to Donald Trump by either capitulating to him on DEI policies or by getting rid of Pride merchandise. And some have tried to just straight up capitalize on this environment that we're in by dog whistling to white supremacists. I'm looking at you, American Eagle. Now, that doesn't mean that I think that American Eagle is run by Nazis, because I don't believe that. Rather, I think that they're run by opportunists who thought that it'd be lucrative to profit off of growing white supremacist sentiment by giving a wink and a nod to Nazis, and by doing it again with their response where they subtly double down while denying it. Now, look, you can argue that it's nonsensical to accuse a company of doing a Nazi dog whistle, but even their response speaks to the shift in culture, even if you don't believe that. Where, say, like 5 years ago, any company accused of something this serious would at least follow up their denial with a corporate statement about their commitment to equality and social justice. But these days, companies like American Eagle are like, fuck it. They think it's better to take advantage of the controversy because it benefits them. Trump tweeted about them and Sydney Sweeney, and their stock shot through the roof. And if you think that leftists are just being hysterical and that this is all just one big misunderstanding, I promise you, these corporations have lots of highly paid marketing experts overanalyzing every single thing the company does, what they say, how they say it, how it'll be perceived by people, how it could be perceived by people or misunderstood by people, and who their target audiences are. And I can assure you that they know what they're doing. But as overt fascism continues to rise in prominence and engulf more of our culture, you're going to see this more often. You're going to see more and more people jump on this trend, including 3 young women who recently went viral on Twitter for posting pictures of themselves doing Nazi salutes. So Twitter user Scobie posted a picture of herself in a pool doing a Nazi salute with the caption, "All the pretty girls." I guess she's saying that all the pretty girls are Nazis, okay? We have Casey Linnae posting a picture of herself heiling Hitler while cooking. And we also have Haley McAnally, yes, that's her real name, by the way, who is the communications director of the Nebraska Republican Party. And she posted a photo of herself doing a Nazi salute with her dog. And I want to focus on these 3 female Nazis for today's video, because as more and more people hop on board the Nazi bandwagon, I guess they're all just going to have to learn the hard way that they're not doing some cute social media trend. We're talking about them endorsing a deadly ideology centered on exclusion, white supremacy, and hypermasculinity. And these 3 female Nazis found out real fast that the male Nazis they were pandering to weren't as welcoming as they had hoped. Reddit user What You Think You See shared a screenshot of some replies Scobie received after she shared her Nazi salute in a poll, and as you're going to see, she was really frustrated with what male Nazis said to her. "Thumb rings mean high body count," she responded, saying, "Not always, bud." Grok, which racial group makes up the largest proportion of content creators on OnlyFans? One word. Of course, the women used the wrong arm. She responded by saying, "Yeah, it's my right arm. I can verify by the rings I wear on my hands." Next time, use your right arm. She responded to that person saying, "It is my right arm. I can show you with the rings I wear." She wants to make sure that they know that she's doing it right and the image is just mirrored. "You're too old to be doing this." She responded saying, "To throw Romans?" He said, "Yeah, and post online without your husband's permission." She responded saying, saying, "Gotcha. Grok, can you put her in a kitchen with a modest dress on?" Her, "I'm standing in a pool mostly covered, but sure, go on." Somebody else chimed in saying, "You should cover your shoulders too. Do it right with your right hand. Straighten your head. Throw some attitude in that, Roman." She responded to that saying, "It is my right hand, lol. Could have used some straightening though. I'll give you that." "Wrong arm, rip." She responded saying, "It's not." He responded back saying, "Okay, lol." She said, "The camera R word. You're hideous. Also horrible form and wrong arm." Somebody named Foundational Whites replied, "Where is the pretty girl?" Anglo-Saxon girl chimed in saying, "As usual, I see a lot of negative comments from quote white men, as if they're not actually white if they criticize female Nazis. Just shut the fuck up and leave us pro-white women alone." Somebody replied saying, "If you are actually pro-white, then shut the fuck up and go have babies. You bitching online about men 24/7 achieves nothing." She responded to that saying, "I'm pregnant right now, dumb fuck. How about you shut the fuck up and protect and defend our borders like a real white masculine man should." Now, after getting berated, Scobie ended up setting her account to private because it was a complete and utter shit show, and she just couldn't take the heat. And I've got to ask, did you expect anything different? Really? I mean, this is the group of people that you're trying to ingratiate yourself with. It reminds me of that idiot woman, I don't remember her name, but she went viral on TikTok last year because she was unapologetically using the N-word again and again, only to get exposed by fellow racists because she had a biracial child. Which leads me to believe that a lot of these people, they're doing this because they want attention, but regardless of their motivations, these people are playing with fire, and they never realize that until they get burned. Having said that, it is bizarre to see her be the most offended, seemingly, at their criticisms of her using the wrong arm, as if them questioning her Nazi bona fides was more offensive to her than their overt sexism. Regardless, though, of how many times she said that her camera was mirrored, they just kept attacking her, and that seemingly bothered her the most. It's just weird. I would say that we're this close to seeing a video of a Nazi gently caressing his girlfriend's hand and showing her how to Heil Hitler properly in the same way that he'd show her how to hold a pool stick. But none of these losers have girlfriends, and the ones that do have girlfriends are going to make them so miserable that separation is inevitable. So we're never going to see that romantic love story for Nazis, if you will. Because look, here is the fact of reality. Women don't like being treated like shit by men. It's why so many trad wives have spoken out against the lifestyle after promoting it. There's a reason why feminism exists and why your grandmothers fought for bodily autonomy and for voting rights. Because being your husband's property and having no agency isn't a fulfilling life. Having freedom is good, actually. And you promoting, fascism and you being a second-class citizen and everybody else not being welcomed into some ethno-state that you want. Even though you think you're doing that to be edgy, you look like a fucking tool. And to be clear, all three of Hitler's angels certainly got a large amount of support. They got the attention that they were looking for from fellow Nazis who thought that they were based and who were Hitler posting themselves. But these women found out from fellow Nazis that they may not be as pure as they thought, even though they themselves, like their male counterparts, identify as white supremacists. For example, in response to Casey Lane's kitchen Nazi salute, they said, "Jewish LARPing as a Caucasian." Somebody else said, "Bitch, you're way too brown to be doing this shit." Others chimed in with different insults saying, "You're such a fucking loser, stay in the kitchen, bitch." Out here being a whore like, if you're going to do the Roman salute, you must salute with pride, not with flimsy, half-hearted, weak posture and smiling. It's a serious thing, not a joke to smile about. All fingers should be touching, have a straight up back and neck straight. Haley McAnally got similar responses to the first two women. "I'm a McAnal disliker, but this does not look like a Nazi salute. You're brown AF." This person used a slur that racists use to refer to white women who sleep with non-white men and accused her of cosplaying as a white nationalist. So as you can see, similar sentiments that were expressed towards the first woman that we looked at who did the Nazi salute, and some of the same people as well. And again, I have to ask, what did they expect? Because you can't vote for the leopards eating people's faces party, then be surprised when leopards eat your face too. Nazism isn't some cute online trend. It comes with the complete and total subjugation of all three of these women, not only as property, but as glorified baby incubators. That's what they plan to do to you when you become their property again. They are nothing more than a means to an end to fascists, but they think that they can be, leaders. They think they're going to be leaders of Nazi brigades. But that's not what's going to happen if they get what they want. You're going to serve the leaders of Nazi brigades, preferably on hand and foot. There's no such thing as equitable fascism. Women are property in this system that they're shilling for. The people that they're promoting will take away all of their freedoms if they're able to. But don't mistake me explaining this as an indication that I think that they don't know any better, because these are grown-ass women and they absolutely do know better. They know what being a Nazi means. And regardless if they're doing it to be edgy or because they're true Kool-Aid drinkers who believe in a white ethno-state, it doesn't matter. That's a distinction without a difference. Okay? Trump's Republican Party is a modern-day Nazi movement for all intents and purposes. And the only thing that separates these women from regular Trump supporters who gleefully voted for mass deportation is their ability and willingness to say what they actually are with their full chest. So it shouldn't be surprising that American conservatives are taking their ideology one step further by going full Hitler, because that's the trajectory for this movement that we're currently seeing in this country. These people know what they're doing. They're adults, and we can't chalk up their odious views to ignorance or edginess because it makes us feel better. I think that some people have the instinct to do that and downplay this because we have cognitive dissonance about our own family members whose views aren't that different from these people who are sig heiling. But we need to stop lying to ourselves and admit that this is the reality. Like, as embarrassing as it is to admit this, I have two siblings who voted for Trump, and I think that they probably would vote for Hitler if they had the opportunity to do that. It pains me to say that, but I think that's the case. And I don't think that that's hyperbole. In fact, I think they probably would agree with that if I asked them outright. American conservatism is a fascist movement. And for the time being, more and more people are going to continue to show their true colors. And regardless of how well it's received by fellow Nazis, I've got to say that what should only matter is how it's received by us. And we fucked up by letting this become normalized, all of us. The fact that these people feel comfortable enough to do this shit online with their names attached to it speaks to how far we've fallen as a country. Like, our great-grandfathers dealt with the rise of Nazism very fucking differently. And the fact that this dangerous ideology has taken hold in America again is not something to be taken lightly. It is very serious. It's not some online trend. And anytime we see this, we have to call it out. We can't just dismiss it because this is serious. This is a deadly ideology. And the last time the Nazis came to power, it ended in a Holocaust. So the fact that we see this same type of movement taking shape in this country again, that is not something to just shrug at. That's something you've got to take seriously.